Dude, I've been sitting with this thought for a while, and it's a heavy one. I think we need to have a real, uncomfortable conversation about why you're so obsessed with the locking in. You feel like you're behind, don't you? Like the clock is ticking, and you're wasting the prime years of your life. Every time you see a day in the life video of a 22-year-old millionaire or a girl with a perfect aesthetic routine, this weight just drops in your chest, and your response to that weight is to try and grind your way out of it. You buy the planners, you set the 5 a.m. alarms, you tell yourself that starting tomorrow you're going to be a completely different person. But what if that obsession with productivity isn't actually about growth? What if it's just a really polished way of processing shame? What if you don't actually like who you are right now, and you're trying to build a new person because the current one feels like a failure? This video is me trying to figure out why we're all so terrified of wasting time, and how we can actually start living in our own lives instead of just waiting for them to start. Or at least, finally being honest about the slop. We have to talk about the narrative we've been sold. If you're in your late teens or early 20s, you are constantly bombarded with this idea that these are your prime years. Like life is this peak you're supposed to hit right now. And if you aren't maximizing every second of it, you're essentially following a book on how to fail. It creates this chronic low-level panic. You feel like you need to have the career figured out, the body of a Greek god, and the social capital to be invited to everything. It makes you view time not as something to be experienced, but as an asset to be managed. When you spend a Saturday just existing, you don't feel rested. You feel guilty. You feel like you've lost aura. But think about it, bro. Who decided that your 20s are the end? Why are we acting like life is a speed run? This pressure to lock in usually comes from a place of deep-seated shame. We're ashamed that we aren't where the algorithm says we should be, so we try to bully ourselves into being productive. But you can't hate yourself into a version of you that you love. It doesn't work like that. A lot of us are living in what I call the waiting room. You're waiting for the real part of your life to begin. You think, once I get that job, or once I find that person, or once I move to that city, then I'll start being intentional. Then I'll be happy. But while you're waiting, you're just reactive. You wake up, and the first thing you do is check your phone to see what the world wants from you. You let the algorithm decide what you think about, what you care about, and how you spend your first 2 hours of the day. You're essentially an NPC in your own world. We expect life to happen to us. We wait for the perfect conditions to start that hobby or reach out to that friend. But waiting for the perfect conditions is waiting forever. Most of your time isn't being wasted because you're lazy. It's being wasted because it's unintentional. You aren't choosing how to use those 15-minute gaps between classes or meetings. You're just falling into a distraction loop because it's easier than being alone with the silence. I'll be raw with you, because I hate it when people act like they have always been optimized. I spent a huge chunk of my life in what I call my slop phase. My room was a literal noshed hole. I had plates piling up, I hadn't seen the floor in weeks, and I'd spend 12 hours a day bed rotting. Not the cute TikTok version, but the real kind where you don't even have the energy to shower or brush your teeth. I was using mindless media consumption as a digital crutch. I couldn't handle the dead air of my own existence. Every time I felt that twinge of, I'm wasting my life, I just opened another app to drown out the noise. I was addicted to the escape, and the more I escaped, the more I hated myself, which made me want to escape even more. I realized that my productivity kicks were actually just a form of self-avoidance. I didn't want to fix my life. I wanted to be someone else entirely. I wanted to skip the ugly process of being a beginner and just be good already. But the process is where the charm is. You have to be okay with being messy. You have to be okay with your own slop. We have to look at the system we're operating in. We live in an attention economy that functions like a cancer. Capitalism requires infinite growth, and we've internalized that logic into our own souls. We feel like if we aren't leveling up or monetizing a side hustle, we're dying. Even our hobbies have been ruined by this. You can't just paint, you have to have an Etsy. You can't just play Minecraft, you have to be a creator. This pressure to be productive kills the soul of the activity. It turns pleasure into a chore. The tech companies know this. They've engineered every notification and swipe to give you a tiny hit of dopamine that leaves you feeling drained afterward. We're being trained to expect instant gratification. And because real things, like building a relationship or learning a skill, take time and effort, we just quit. We stay stuck in a loop of consuming slop because we've lost the ability to sit with discomfort. It's like Minecraft 1.1, honestly. I talk about this a lot, but stay with me. In the old versions of the game, there weren't 800 block types or infinite auto farms. The game was restricted. You had limitations. And because you had limitations, you had to be creative. You had to find meaning in a single pile of sand. Modern Minecraft and modern life is stuffed with too much content. We have so many options that we experience analysis paralysis. We're so busy following the meta and trying to build the most efficient farm that we forget to actually play the game. We've done the same thing to our lives. We're wearing these NPC skins of who we think we should be based on external validation. But real fulfillment comes from treating your life as a true sandbox. It's about building things for you, not for what looks best on the gram or what your parents expect of you. You need to reclaim the charm of your own world, even if your builds are ugly at first. One of the biggest misconceptions we have is that being alone equals being lonely. Because of that, we fill every second of solitude with noise, music, podcasts, scrolling. But when you drown out the silence, you drown out the ability to build a relationship with yourself. A proper man, or a proper human, is just someone who can sit in a quiet room for an hour with their own thoughts and not want to crawl out of their skin. Intentional solitude is a superpower. Walking without AirPods, journaling, or just staring at the trees, these aren't wasted minutes. They're the moments where you actually check in with your inner child. We're so afraid of being average or normal that we've become invisible, but you only become unforgettable when you lean into your weirdness. When you stop performing for an audience that isn't even there and start doing things simply because they bring you joy. That's the real lock-in. Not working 100 hours a week, but being 100% present in your own skin. So, how do we actually fix our relationship with time? It's not about some grand New Year's resolution that you're going to fail in 3 days. It's about the small, intentional choices. Try the 10-minute rule. When that urge hits, that itch to check your phone, because you're standing in line at Raising Cane's or waiting for an elevator, just sit with the discomfort for 10 minutes. Watch the urge peak like a wave and then watch it vanish. Proving to yourself that you don't have to react to every impulse is how you build real discipline. Use the breadcrumb method. If you have a big project you're avoiding, don't try to lock in for 5 hours. Just do 5 minutes. Draw a little box on a piece of paper and check it off. Our brains crave those small achievements, and most importantly, do something weird. Pet your dog for 20 minutes and don't think about your to-do list. Walk outside and just listen to the birds. Respect your time by using it deliberately, even if what you're doing isn't productive. I'm still figuring this out, dude. I'm yapping into this microphone because I'm trying to organize my own brain, not because I have all the answers. I still have days where I feel like I'm behind. I still catch myself comparing my raw footage to everyone else's highlight reel, but I'm learning that things work themselves out if you let them. Time is your most valuable asset when you're young, but the goal isn't to squeeze every drop of value out of it. The goal is to respect it, to spend it with people who actually care about you, to pursue interests that light your soul on fire, even if they don't make you a dime. Reclaim your time. Stop living for external validation and start living for the version of you that doesn't need to run from the silence. You aren't behind in life. You're exactly where you need to be, right here, in the moment, figuring it out. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this build. It's nothing fancy, just a place to watch the rain. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I read all of them. It helps to know I'm not the only one trying to find my way out of the slop fest. Take care of yourselves. And for real, go pet your dog. Much love. Love and peace. See ya.